The Ariel Jones Community Outreach Center was founded during the water crisis because when the water crisis started, my husband is a bishop in the Church of God in Christ, known all across the country. So people were sending water, truckloads of water. And in the process of them doing that, not only were they sending water, but a lot of the pastors, preachers, congregations were sending money. And it just got to be so much that I said to him, I said, Bishop, we really need to separate this out from the church because I want people to know that they are welcome to send, because some people wanted letters of confirmation saying that we had contributed or we had donated, a certain amount of money. And that's a great burden just for the church. So my husband founded Greater Holy Temple, Church of God in Christ, in 1963. And here we are in 2016. And I thought about it, and I said, if something were to happen, I want this work to be able to continue. Because the more we got into it, the more I saw hurt, the more I saw need, the more I saw what this water crisis had done to seniors, to children, to just people in general. It was no way that I could allow that kind of responsibility to just rest on the one church. Now, had it been the entire Church of God in Christ, it would have been different. But on one church, that's a lot to bear. So, his name is Roger L. Jones. And I wanted him to have a legacy. What better legacy than somebody in 1963 who founded a church here in a thriving city, and everybody knew him, and today he's 84. So the R.L. Jones Community Outreach Center was founded, and the purpose of it is to make sure that everybody in need has what they need.
How is it that all this water and money came to you? Is it because parishioners in other parts of the country read the news about Flint?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I, too, am a member of the National Trustee Board of the Church of God in Christ. And at the time, I was also on the publishing board of the Church of God in Christ. So both my husband and I are known throughout the church. The people in the community here, they know us. And I tell you, I got into it, I blamed Catholic Charities because they were getting so much water. And our church sits on almost 14 acres of land. So they called and said, we've got a lot of water, can you take it? And I said, we can take whatever you send. That's really how we got started locally. And from there, it just seemed to have boomeranged. And my husband was one who never said no. And I'd come to him and I said, so-and-so wants to send water, is it okay? And he said, it's fine, go ahead. And from there, it just it just grew. And it wasn't that we got a lot of contributions, because we didn't. He and I put a whole lot of our own personal funds into it initially, because you had people who volunteered and so forth, but they were there for 12, sometimes 13 hours. We wanted to feed them. So we'd have catering comes in and all types of different things that you needed. And it was just, it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Tell me about the crisis itself. Was it that from one day to the next, suddenly you couldn't trust the water coming out of your
Absolutely. They had known, the government had known since 2014. We did not find out anything until October of 2015. And even at that, we didn't know at that time the extent because it had not been declared an emergency. So we were in Los Angeles, California at one of our conferences, leadership conference for the National Church. And I was watching the news in California. And it was announced that Governor Snyder had declared a water crisis in Flint, Michigan. So, of course, during that conference, you're talking about maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people. And we made that announcement. So that's how our church nationally began to know about it. And the minute we hit the ground from California, we started right then working, clearing the grounds, making sure that whatever donations, making calls and saying we're available to the city at that time. And the different nonprofit organizations here, it was just unreal how people worked together. I mean, this city came together. And prior to that, I always kind of felt like an outsider. Flint is a very close-knit community. But the water crisis looked like everybody dropped the facade. And they didn't care where you were from. If you were there to work, everybody was greeted to work. And this city came together. They worked together. They pulled together. If I had it and you didn't, you could have it. If you had it and I didn't, I could have it. And that was not just Catholic Charities and myself. That was all of the social services, Genesee Health Plan, Genesee Health Systems, Social Security. I mean, you name the organizations, and everybody came to the table. And the food bank of Eastern Michigan, they opened their doors so that all of the nonprofits, the heads of those nonprofits or their designees could come in. And we talked about the situations. We talked about what was needed. And what was good at that time, we were able to work together as one. And the state worked with us. They didn't have a choice, did they? And so, of course, the food bank stepped up. We put a plan together. And we were told by Dr. Monatisha that not only if you were exposed to lead, if you had not been tested for it within a 28-day period, you didn't know it. So what did you do? You needed to have certain kinds of foods that would help to mitigate it. So the food bank stepped up and said, okay, we'll do this, we'll house it. And then organizations like mine, organizations like Catholic Charities, various churches like Asbury United Methodist, Bethel United Methodist, Calvary, churches all over the city stepped up and said, we too want to be a part of this.
And what was just to be clear, what was the actual need? People we
were told we could not drink the water. We did not know. We had been drinking this water, bathing in it, cooking in it since 2014. They knew. And when we found out, we protested. See, and we protested so vehemently they didn't have a choice. See, but then to say, well, don't drink the water. Well, the water was coming out brown because it had been coming out, and people were just thinking, well, maybe this is just bad, this day, and was letting the water run till it went clear. But then when it got to the point where it wouldn't be clear anymore, and when it got to the point where this young lady had her children in school, and she was bathing them and found out that they were breaking out with blisters all over their bodies. Melissa Mays. She blew the whistle. Between she and Dr. Mona Tisha, they fought for this city. And what I was thankful for is the people in the city got behind them. We stood behind them. And state didn't have a choice. Do I think they did everything that they were supposed to have done? No. They brought in the National Guard and had the National Guard to dispense water. People would be in line for hours and hours and hours and hours. The line would be like 5 and 6 miles long, and they would only give people like maybe 2 or 3 cases of water until churches and organizations like ours popped up. And I may be that person, you can tell I have a big mouth, and I'm gonna speak my piece. And I spoke out the loudest. And I said, our church has no problem distributing water from it. We have a lot of land. The cars can line up. They can come in and go out at our site. So the National Guard used our site. We were the first for them to actually use their site. And from there, they created what is called points of distribution in each of the wards. And that's because coming together at the food bank, all of the organizations from around this city came together as one. And they heard our voice. And we created what we call pods, which is the points of distribution. And there's 9 wards in Flint. And there was a pod in every ward. Our ward is 3rd Ward, and we were the first to create a pod. And from there, all of the other pods were trained from there. And GST Michigan Works, thank God for them. They stepped in, hired people, paid them decent salaries, really good salaries for them to come and work. The deal is, they were working 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. That's what the need was for the people, because you had people working from 7 to 3, and then you had that second shift, and then you had that midnight shift. So they had to try to figure out a way where people could always be able, to get water.
The people that were working in shifts,
Mm-hmm.
were they the ones taking cases of water and handing it to the next person in line?
No. These are people who worked in the factories. So we had to figure out a way for the people in the factories to be able, that worked, they had the shift work, to be able to get water. And then some of them worked in Detroit, some worked in Lansing, some worked in Saginaw, the different parts around the Michigan area, but they lived in Flint, see. So that's why the pods were so important, is so that it would make it easier for everybody to be able to access the water and get more than 2 cases.
Because you're talking about water for a family to bathe in.
Absolutely.
brush their teeth.
Absolutely. And that was water that was coming in.
If you could say that, because that's super graphic and,
Okay.
you can visualize it. If you could
Sure,
say this was
sure.
water for an entire family to
Sure,
bathe in,
sure.
cook with.
Sure. This was water for the entire family to be able to bathe in, cook with, brush their teeth, as well as drink. And if you can just imagine, these people were forced to be in lines for hours. So setting up the pods really helped. In addition to the pods, just about every church and every nonprofit in the city had people from all around the country donating us water. See, our water did not come at our site. It did for the pod site. So we let the pod take the front parking lot of our church. We took the parking lot over on the other side of our church because we still had people, companies, large companies was donating water. Little kids were collecting water and donating water, and they would drive up in vans full of water. Some schools were, we had Yale came down, Princeton, Harvard, I mean, all over the country to volunteer to put water, just water, in people's cars. That lasted for almost 2 years. The volunteer part, with the people still giving for almost 2 years. Not sure, I can't remember how long we had the pods open, but I tell you what, it didn't close well because there was no notification to the people that they were going to close the pods. Let me go back to the food bank. When we found out that the only way of treating lead poison, if you had not been tested, was through mitigating foods, the food bank stepped up along with several of our churches. And we all agreed that we would also pass out mitigating foods. That's foods high in protein, high in B, vitamin D, B, C, A. Those are the main ingredients. Now let me tell you what I saw. People would come through the line. They would have blisters all on their bodies. Oh, my heart couldn't hardly stand it. The children, hair falling out, blisters and scabs all on their bodies. I've never seen anything like that, not in the United States of America.
I was just going to say, how is this possible in the United States of America?
But you knew that water was contaminated. You knew that. And you allowed us to drink that water for 3 years. And it was just, they partnered, the state partnered with Nestle. In addition to the donations that we were getting from all around the country, Nestle agreed with the state to supply the points of distribution, the pods. And when Nestle decided, or the state, I apologize because I really can't tell you where that came in. I just know I was furious about it. And you can believe they heard my mouth. Because how do you do that and you haven't corrected the problem? How do you stop it? Stop giving the water when you have not changed out all of the pipes, but you stop. So that consortium that I shared with you, we all got together and we decided that 10 of us were going to stay open. And we were still going to give out food and we were still going to give out water. And we did.
Now, the reason you were giving out food, was because it was this mitigating.
It's the mitigating because, see, this is a city, remember now, This is a city of manufacturing. There's a lot of cancer in this city. I can't tell you in comparison what that cancer is to any other city, and there's a lot of seniors. So very few of them would even go to be tested. And then I'm looking at them come with their hair falling out. I'm looking at people looking like they have measles. I'm looking at them looking like they have chicken pox. I'm looking at them with their legs swollen. And the thing that gets me is that how could you not have a heart to understand something like that? So you decide, well, we've given you enough water. We've been doing this now for 3 years. We've been paying and keeping these pods open for 3 years. We've done our part, but you haven't, because the lines still haven't been changed out. You haven't, because you still have not touched everybody that you touched. You have people on dialysis. You have cancer patients. You have people with heart trouble. You have now, today, let me tell you what happened. My niece was working and helping us. Came up pregnant. Her baby was due in March. He came December the 19th. He weighed maybe 28, 29 pounds. He died 2 times.
29 pounds or ounces?
Ounces, I'm sorry, thank you, ounces.
If you could go back.
Yeah. My niece's baby weighed 29 ounces. And he died 2 times because of prayer and the medical staff working kept that baby alive. But he stayed in the hospital for several months. He was 3 years old before he could be potty trained, because his cognitive skills were impaired. Now, there's a difference between autism and having cognitive skills. I'm not a doctor, I don't try to be, but I do know the difference, because they can catch up if they get the right attention. Thank God, because of my big mouth again, and because I spoke up and the news media, Angie Hendershot, came to see him. They wanted to see what these babies were going through that were born during this crisis. And she came and she saw him. She adopted him in her heart. She followed him throughout his tenure. Because of her, she got him physical therapy. He couldn't even talk. He would try, but we couldn't understand anything he was saying. Now, he was one of many.
Let me ask you something. It's wonderful that people came together during this crisis, but we're not talking about a crisis of 2 weeks.
No.
We're talking about a crisis of 2 years.
Okay.
3 years.
No, we're talking about a crisis of 6 years. We're still, I don't care how much anybody tries to tell you, the water is good, the crisis is over. Yesterday was our water and food distribution. Remember, I said we started in January of 2016. This is March of 2020. The line stretched from my building 1.5 miles long yesterday.
Are people still afraid of the water?
People are, that's where I'm going. People are still afraid of the water. If they weren't, they would not be lining up at the 3 sites that's still open. That's our site at Greater Holy Temple Church, which is Ariel Jones Community Outreach, Bethel United Methodist on Mondays, Asbury United Methodist on Tuesdays, and our site on Thursdays. Those lines are still long, not necessarily just because people can't afford water, because they start lining up at my church at 5:30 a.m. We don't even open until 10. And so we're 6 years in this, and they still don't trust the water. We have found out that there is a food deficiency in the community, and it's not just in the Black community. It has no ethnicity. Where my site is, and I have to say they trust me. They have confidence in us. They come and they're getting food and water. And they're lined up for hours, and we don't close until we have run out of the last case of water and food. And you won't believe this. It's in about 2.5 to 3 hours. That's how many people we have.
I want to make an observation, and that is, it doesn't seem to me that this would happen in Beverly Hills
Okay?
or, you know,
Let's talk about that.
yeah.
This happened in Rochester Hills, right up the street. Auburn Hills, right up the street from Flint. They knocked it out. I don't even think it lasted 6 months.
What do you mean they knocked it out?
I mean, they took care of it. They took care of the issue. They took care of the problem. Rochester Hills has Oakland University there. It's one of the most affluent neighborhoods in Michigan, and it is white primarily. I'm not a person who looks at things from those perspectives, but when they're so glaring, you cannot help but look at it. When you hear of other cities since Flint, they're through. Everything has been done. My question is, why not Flint? And then when they did try to do the pipes and so forth, they did them in the street that connected to the city. But the reason the people don't trust the water is because they didn't change not one pipe in the house. Nobody's pipes in the houses are changed, so they want you to feel that chemically, now, we had to run our water for 5 minutes every time if it had sat through the night. So when you wake up in the morning, you turn that faucet on and you let it run for 5 minutes. Would you trust that? I wouldn't. I didn't. Then we gave out water filters, pure filters, you name it, all kinds of filters. People put the filters, but you still had to run the water. So I'm just saying, I think in hindsight that because we were the first that got the kind of attention, those who came behind us saw the mistakes we made. And they took our mistakes and cleaned them up. Consequently, we never wanted to, in my opinion, we never wanted to admit our mistakes.
What
I think our mistakes, really and truly, was not changing out the pipes in the houses. I think the people would have felt more comfortable had the pipes in all of the houses been changed out, and not just the pipes in the streets that connected,
But who's going to pay for that?
Well, it should have been paid for by the state, period, point blank. And, I attended all of the meetings. I sat in and I gave them hell. And of course, like I said, I'm from Texas originally. I just believe in saying what you see, being honest about what you see. And it made some of them mad, but I didn't care because they did not see what I was looking at every single day. They did not see the babies. They did not see the seniors. They did not see that we've got more people on dialysis. They did not see that the people who were on chemotherapy, they would come through my line, and Nestle at the time was giving us spring water. Well, some of the people taking chemotherapy cannot drink spring water. They needed the purified water. So I had to fight to get them to bring purified water. And so it was like everything became political. And I don't think you had that in some of the other outlining cities. The other cities saw, because so many of them came and volunteered here. So they saw what we were going through. And when their cities was going through, like in New Jersey, they came down, they talked to me. Right now, we've got a city in Michigan, in Benton Harbor. And they came, they wanted to talk to me. They wanted to know, what did you do? How did you do this? And so, of course, they're making those corrections. Everything for us was political. And you had other people like Sandra Jones that was fighting for this city. You had other community partners that fought for us, that stood up for us. You had this community united. I don't even know how we're making it mentally and emotionally today. The trauma is unreal. You cannot imagine. There has not been anything really. They tried to put something in place, but if you don't deal with the problem, admit the problem, then how can you help me see what I'm going through? And I see it. It's this city is hurt. I don't care how many buildings you build. I don't care how much money you say is coming in here. I'm depressed, I'm hurt. I feel like you've hurt me and you didn't say I'm sorry. You did nothing for me personally. I still don't trust you.
I can't imagine the stress of being so afraid of something that's so basic, like breathing the air, drinking the water.
Sure.
And the mental health issues must be huge.
Mental health is huge. The first thing, though, you've got to, this is a predominantly black city. Predominantly. And we don't talk a lot about mental health. And then again, you ask the question, what is it? What is mental health? What do you mean? And so you can do the same thing, think about it, over and over until it becomes who you are. You don't see it as a problem. It's who you are. I have to go and get in this line and get water. That's what I do. I have to go and get food. That's what I do. In doing so, I discovered the food desert in Flint. I discovered the mental problems. I discovered that there were long lines, but the Lord said to me, what about those that don't have transportation? That's where the Ariel Jones really stepped in. And we got phone calls. I don't have a car. I'm not on any type of government programs, so I don't qualify for your ride. I don't qualify for this. I don't qualify for that. But I need water and I need food. So here I go. Step back up to the plate. Partnered with, I believe in partnerships. I do not believe that any one organization can do everything for their people. I just don't believe that. My secular environment taught me, I don't care how large your company is, you still have to have a team. And when you try to do it all yourself, you'll never be successful because you can't do everything. So you have to have a team. And so I'm listening to the calls. The pods were stationary, see. So there was no way for them to deliver or anything. So I partnered with MTA. That's the Metropolitan Transit Authority. And one of the people that was in our quorum that was working with us, she is absolutely probably one of the finest people you will ever meet, and her name is Cheryl Thompson. And she worked for MDHHS. That's the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And she fought for this city. She fought for this city. She's the reason we had food. She's the reason that we were able to get those mitigating foods and not have to pay for them. Because normally when you work with the food bank, even though you're an agency, you pay for the food. But Cheryl Thompson fought for us. She stood up for this city. And when I tell you I'm quiet, she's not like I am. She has a very quiet, soft demeanor, but she gets it done. And she worked on what is called rides to groceries. And so with the rides to groceries, I called the MTA and told them what I wanted to do. And they said, your rides to groceries. I said, let's do it. So I started hiring people, and we started making boxes, and we started delivering food. We couldn't do a lot of the water and the food. So we would it's so funny because we started out with 37 houses. Today we've got over 1,000, and we deliver every single day.
Is there an end in sight to this water crisis?
They think it is. They think there's an end in sight. I don't see it. I'm not privileged to all that city council and the mayor are doing. Our group is not as close-knit anymore. People got tired. I mean, you're talking about 6 years. And so from their perspective, it's like anything else. You know, you can scratch so long till you want the itch to just go away. And I think that's where we are. I think they want the itch to go away. However, every day we get a phone call. Can I be added to your list? So today we work with all of the different social services. We work with 211, which is the city. It's the city and the county. We work with them, and we deliver food and water to people who don't have transportation, to seniors who have been overlooked, cancer patients. Remember, I talked about the cancer, I talked about dialysis, I talked about children. Today in our society, you have so many grandmothers like myself. I'm not raising my grandchildren, thank the Lord for that. But my age, you've got grandmothers, grandfathers, grandparents having to raise their grandchildren. We all know that that's what that situation is about. I'm not even going there. But nevertheless, they're doing it. So we're providing food, personal care items for seniors, filters, and they were getting the filters initially from us. They don't provide the filters anymore. Filters are not being provided, not by us. They were giving us filters for people to come and pick up to put on their faucets. That's not being provided anymore. So, where is this going to end?
This is my question to you. What is your feeling on the outlook for this? Like, where is it going? Are these pipes ever going to be replaced? Is this going to, what's going to happen to Flint?
They're saying, before this current mayor, the pipes were supposed to have all been fixed. That was 4 years. I mean, come on, Flint is not that big. So I still cannot understand why the pipes were not completed in that 4-year period. And now with the current mayor, they have completed some, but you still have today, in 2022, you still have some areas where the pipes have not been cleared. And that's because my understanding is he has worked on getting the water pure. So their feeling is, with the backup system now that we have, and purifying and cleaning up the water, that, to do the pipes is not necessary. But in my mind, it's necessary to that resident who has been traumatized, and I'm one of them, okay? I don't drink the water. It's so funny, my son will say, I'll say, can you give me a glass of water? And he'll go and turn on the purifier, to give me the water. I said, I'm not drinking that. I want a bottle of water. So I know, if I know what I know, and I won't drink it. And I'm supposed to be one of those who's knows that the water has been cleaned, it's been tested, it's passed the EPA, but I still won't drink it. Then what about everybody else? There has to be a campaign. There has to be, don't just pay me money because I have an illness now. But there needs to be some effort, either through the governor, and I really feel that that's where it should start. Now, the current governor didn't create the problem, but she, kind of like everybody else, they kind of want it to just go away. But there needs to be a campaign. There needs to be an effort where trust is built. That hasn't been done. And now I've been told Nestle has been wonderful. They were bought out by Blue Tryon. And Blue Tryon says May 31st is the last day now that we're going to bring you water. Now, has this been told to the community? No. But can you expect Blue Tryon to continue with this when they didn't own the company when it happened? So I can understand their point of view, but I still feel that there needs to be a marketing effort put forth where the people understand what's going to happen in 2 months. So what I did in my meeting, the 3 churches, I told you we work with is United Methodist, Asbury United Methodist, and the food bank. We all came together. We had a meeting with our large funders. I would say the Community Foundation, the Ruth Mott Foundation, the C.S. Mott Foundation. Several of the foundations came together. And we wanted to know, and United Way, gosh, I cannot leave United Way out. United Way has been phenomenal. I mean, when everybody else went to sleep, United Way never went to sleep. Community Foundation never went to sleep. Some of the other foundations said, well, we don't fund basic needs anymore. Our focus now is on programs for the children who have been affected. But you still have the parents who affect the children, and that's what they're forgetting. However, in this, we will still be able to provide food. And that's because Cheryl Thompson has retired, but what she put in place works today. But I still feel that there needs to be, from the governor's office, not just from the mayor, and city council has not done anything either to make the people feel comfortable, to make them feel at ease about this transition. So right now, to be perfectly honest with you, the only people who know that the water is going to be cut off are the 3 sites. And it's being left up to us as to whether we want to put out a flyer and tell the people that there will be no more water, but we will still continue, to give you food. But I don't think that's our responsibility. We didn't create that problem. That should be the responsibility, in my opinion, of the state and the county and the mayor, because now the county is saying, we're going to be your backup for the water. So there needs to be a consortium of them coming together, constantly putting out information to say the water is good.
How can people have faith if they don't hear it from the people in charge?
Absolutely. You cannot have faith if you don't know. You can only hope. But your faith, the Bible says, faith cometh by hearing. See, and hearing by the word of God. So you apply that same principle to your everyday life, because that's really what the Bible is about, in my opinion, is to apply it to who you are, what you are, how you think, how you live, what you do. That's all it is. It's just an instruction.
How important is it to have a program like what the Sloan Museum is doing, which is giving voice to
The people.
people like yourself, not the politicians, not the professional talkers, but the real people to talk about their experiences and their reality?
I think that the Sloan Museum will be that voice. But here again, publicity and marketing and how it's marketed is going to be the key to helping to heal. Because I think that's the whole purpose of the Sloan Museum. They see what this community has gone through. They know its existence. They know where it started. The manufacturing and just moving on around. They understand. But I don't care what you have, just like right now, the water's supposed to be okay. But if it's not marketed properly, it won't do any good. If it's marketed properly, I do believe that people will believe it because they're so excited about having the museum to begin with. And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I am one of the trusted people in this community. I'm trusted because I don't care if it rained, I don't care if it snowed, I don't care how hot it was, I don't care how cold it was. I've been out there and I'm 74 years old, and my people and I have worked, and the community knows we love them. And I think people will trust. That's the key. They've lost trust. So we've got to find a way in our marketing for people to understand what the Sloan Museum is about, and help them to build in their own self-confidence. We've lost confidence in ourselves. You beat me down so long, I begin to believe that I am what you say I am. And I think the Sloan is trying to say to us, you were there, but you're resilient. You're going to come out of this. You're going to be okay.
That leads me to two things I want to ask you about. First is, what do you hope for the kids who have come up?
Been exposed.
Well, not only the physical, but
Emotional.
yeah, and their confidence to be whole people. Like, what do you wish for them? What do you hope, even if it seems like a miracle? What do you hope would happen?
My wish for the children it's hard for me to even say. I want them to fight.
Let's say that again.
Okay. My wish for the children is I want them to fight. See, this thing has beat us down. And then the politics of it has beat us down. But see, because I don't owe anybody anything, I'm going to say what I need to say. Well, we've got to find a way to get that same resilience in these children who have been exposed. And the only way to do that and to have this city flourish and function again is with the parents. But all of the programs are going to the children. And I keep saying to them, how can, if I'm hurt, mentally exhausted, if I don't have clothes for my children, if I can't feed my grandchildren, if I can't find a job, that thing flows down to the children. So, be honest, I'm scared for the children. There was a school that was built by the Ruth Mott Foundation, and it was called Educare. I loved that school. Educare took the children, the babies, when they got, I think, maybe like 3 years old, and it was for those children who had been lead exposed and who had cognitive skill problems. We've got to put programs in the schools, whether it's elementary, junior, senior, junior college, the universities that are here. We've got to address mental health. We cannot assume, and we want to take the stigma off of it because it is a predominantly minority city. And mental health has a stigma on it. And so we've got to educate them to say it's nothing wrong with you, it's just this one particular issue. We've got to help you get past it. If the adults can get past it, then we can talk positively, we can influence our children. Let me tell you, half the young kids left, when they got out of high school, they left Flint. Flint is a predominantly mature city. We want our young people, when they graduate from college, or if they've gone to different states to go to get jobs, we want them to come back.
What do you think would bring the youth back?
To know that the city is growing, to know that the water is fine, to know that they have a chance here. See, they don't see a future. The youth, there's nothing really for them to do. And so they don't see a future here. But what I'm seeing is this educational area built up. I'm seeing more plays coming in. I'm seeing the Capitol Theater being used more. I'm seeing the Sloan Museum coming into being. I'm seeing more and more that they can do here. And the interesting thing, they didn't move to Detroit. They moved out of the state. So it's not just Flint, but it's got to be the state to show what attracted them before was the automotive industry. Well, health and education has become extremely important across the country. So we've got to show them that we have that still in this state. I just think we need a good marketing campaign and stop fighting. We're so busy fighting one another politically that who wants to be around somebody that's arguing and fussing and fighting all the time? Nobody. I certainly don't. But if there's harmony, if there's peace, if I see a future, if I see it's okay for me to have my children grow up here, if the schools are good, if there are good jobs here, and I feel like I can progress, I'm good. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm not saying that it's not in the works. That's not what I'm saying. But when will it come to fruition? Because if it doesn't happen soon, the city is going to die. Because it's the youth that's growing up. It's creating jobs. And I'm going to tell you, I really believe we need to go back to skills. We need skills. You need to have plumbers, electrician, construction workers, people that know how to run machines. Not everyone is cut out to have a college degree. But for so many years, that's what was being pushed. And so consequently, if you weren't in that industry, you left the state because you were in something else. Example, my skill set is marketing. I retired from one of the largest companies in the world in marketing. So that's my skill set, but I don't see a lot of it. So what is it here? Now, sports is real big in Michigan, but everybody is not an athlete. Everybody is not interested in sports. The largest sports is basketball. Football, they like it. But, I mean, you've got tennis stars. You've got golf stars. You've got swimmers. Ice skating is real big in the Olympics, but then even that's a very small community. So what I'm saying, I don't think that Michigan is doing a great job of showing what all it's capable of. I'm from Houston, Texas, where there was oil. And when OPEC came into being, there was a lot of jobs, but we changed. And in the process of changing, we advertised what our strengths were. That's what has to happen here. We've got to show our strengths. That person that wants to be a beautician, build it up. We've got Mott Community College that has that. But we used to have a skill center, see, and they did away with the skill center in the schools, in the high schools. So if you want now a skill, you've got to go to junior college to get that. Well, I barely made it out of high school. So it's a complexity of issues, but I tell you what, you let them put me on one of these boards, and they're going to know these complexities of issues, and we're going to help these kids. We have got to unify the way we did when we had that water crisis. This city came together.
I wanted to ask you about that, just like a last thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this city has been put to the test in ways that are very particular.
Yes.
The industry that left, and the tax base that left, and
That's right.
the water crisis, housing crisis, all these things,
Mm-hmm.
race issues,
Mm-hmm.
crazy problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I'm just wondering if you have any overarching thought about the people here. And
I think the people here in Flint are the same people that came together during the water crisis. I just feel that they don't feel they have a voice anymore. See, during the water crisis, at the beginning, they had a voice. And if you don't use your voice, you lose it. And it's just like a singer. If you are a singer and you stop singing, you may can hit a note, but nothing like if it's done every day. And so what's happened is now we've gone back to what I saw when I moved up here 21 years ago. You've got these little pods and it's the same people doing the same stuff, but none of them are boots on the ground. How are you going to know what I'm dealing with if you're not out there? So we've got to find a way. I don't have an answer. I tease the CEO all the time of the food bank. She's just an awesome woman. Her name is Kara Ross. And I tell her, I said, Kara, you need to pull the group back together. And we all need to come together at least once a quarter and talk about what's going on, because we're all still out here. And we've got people making decisions. Oh, yeah, they have town hall meetings, but it's the same people all the time. Go and have your town hall meetings where the people are. You go back there in the Flint housing and have your meetings back there in Flint housing. You go over to the Section 8, you go to them. Stop having them come to you. You're scheduling where you want the meetings. Go to where the people are. Come out. I tell you what, let them come out over to our site on Thursdays. Have a town hall meeting. When they get their water and the food, be right there. Here, you'll see the real people. Go over to Bethel on a Monday. You're going to hear the real people. Go to Asbury on Tuesday. You're going to hear the real people. We're having these meetings, but it's the same people whose mouths are like mine, and they think they're speaking for the community. But the people that make the difference, they need to go in that area. And like the little kids say, don't be scared. Go over in there and see what's going on. I saw for myself in the summer in the Flint housing, they have a truck that goes and delivers food, for the kids during the summer that are not in school. And I was over in the housing and I saw children running out of their homes in the streets to get food. Those politicians need to see that. They need to see the food delivered. Now, of course, I stopped it because I was afraid for the children. And so, but it should not have been me. You understand what I'm saying? How can Flint come back together? I cannot tell you. The only way Flint, everybody that's already up here, feel that they know. And I know they get tired of my mouth, and that's all right. I get quiet and just do what I gotta do. But stop trying to turn the city around by ignoring that it's not healed. You're bringing in all new kinds of stuff, but you still got sickness over here. You still got stench over here. You still got death over here. You still got hurt over here. And you trying to build up tall buildings over here. I don't care about those buildings when I don't even have sheets on my bed or don't have a bed. So I'm just saying to you, these children, when they get up, they're leaving. Because you did nothing for me when you could have. This is not a metropolitan city. The city is small enough that we should not be dealing in 2022 with what we were dealing with in 2016. Now, mind you, it started in 2014. But in 2016 is when we start putting things into place. So I don't have an answer. Do I want our city to be what it was 21 years ago? Yes. Yes, I do. I think that it's worth it. The people are worth it. And if it were not for people like Cheryl Thompson, people like Kara Ross, people like Vicki Thompson, that's over the Catholic Charities, and Mary Stevenson, her people like Harold Woodson that runs the other site, and Pastor Tommy at United Methodist. And I could just keep on naming certain people. The Community Foundation. And like I said, I can't say enough about United Way. They want the city to grow. They're doing their part. But the issue is it's not filtering down. And I think just a good marketing strategy. with help and listening, and they listen, but then they don't put it into action. So my heart hurts, and this is why it hurts, and I'm going to be through. If you don't do something, the city will die. Because if you still have children that had cognitive skill problems, and you don't teach them a skill, because they may not be college material, who's going to carry on? When you want construction in this city, you've got to call a company from out of the city to come into the city, which is more expensive. Because you've got to pay for their housing, their travel, their lodging, all of that, you see. So I'm just saying, they're building all types of facilities for mental health and social services. All of that is good. But if you don't get nobody to go to it, what good does it do? I know I'm painting a gloom picture, because for me, I'm a very, very optimistic person. I'm a strategist by nature. That's who I am. I tell my son all the time, I don't believe in I can't. I wasn't raised on I can't. I was raised on find a way to get it done. So, but I know what I want to see, but it's gone so far down.
For so long.
For so long. I just know that you still have that group that's doing everything they can. But at the end of the day, is it enough?
I do think that you speaking out, and others who have spoken and have spoken about, some more optimistically than others, about the resilience of the people of this city.
And they are. That's why the city still exists. The resilience is here. It's not the people. It's the umbrella that's over the people. Right now, today, I could call a meeting with the people who come through our line. Those people would be willing to talk to you. Let me tell you about those people, how wonderful they are. They come through the line. Let's say this week they've gotten tomatoes.
We're just gonna stop.
Okay.
Because we're not gonna hear anything.
Is that thunder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you want to do that one more time.
But for me, I was just saying you could talk. I think he stopped, but I was just saying, for me, people who go through our line, let's say they get cucumbers, tomatoes, whatever. In about 2 or 3 weeks, they're bringing me a jar of preserves to say thank you. And I got this for you, Mother Jones. I've got this for you. And so I have one lady, she comes through all the time, and she says, here, I said, I'm not taking your money. She says, you're going to take this money because you're out here every day. I said, but I'm not going to take this money. She said, Mother Jones, if you don't take this money, I'm going to miss my blessing. So what I do is I said, okay, give it to me, and I'll turn right around and hand it to one of the workers. You know what I'm saying? And it's no more than like $3 or something like that. But that's how resilient, that's how grateful the people are. See? And so that's my point. The people, they're ready. But what's happening, they see the blight. They see the torn down houses, the run down houses. They see the empty houses. They're not used to that. Think about it. Just about everybody in this city owned a house. And if they didn't own a house, they were renting a house. not an apartment. And so there's only maybe like 1 or 2 sections in the whole city that's considered as housing, Flint housing, that's on the, government housing. So the people are ready. They want it. They really want it. And I think they would cooperate. But you've got to first. And I mean, they're having the town hall meetings. I know. Yeah, that's all right. Tell me when. Tell them that they're gonna have to soundproof Sloan.
Yeah, right? We do have to wrap up, but
Okay.
I was thinking to ask you, is there a hopeful note you can leave on this? I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds, some good did come out of the water crisis because people came together in such an amazing way.
Oh God, that's why I was saying that the people are extremely resilient. They want it. People want to see their city back. They want it. I mean, they want to see good schools. They want to see public schools. They are being forced to charter schools because the public schools have closed down. And that's because the water crisis really didn't help that situation at all. People were taking their children out of the city because they saw, what was happening, right? The people want it. And I go back to messaging. I don't think the message is getting to them that's non-political. I hate to say that because everything is around the world. But if that little glimmer, I think one of the reasons that the nonprofits like mine, like Catholic Charities, like Carriage Town Ministries, all of the different nonprofits that are not paid nonprofits per se, you know what I'm saying? I think if they would go into them and talk to the people, that would give the people hope. See, if you have a town hall meeting and I don't own a car, how am I going to get to it? If you send out literature and I can't read, how can I answer? And there's a lot of illiteracy, much more than you would think. Because if you think about it, if this is a manufacturing town and you're visual, I can teach you how to do what you do. You don't necessarily have to read. And so just during this water crisis, I've uncovered a lot. My hope for Flint is that we can find a way to come together. I do believe in my heart that we're trying to do it. I just think that the method needs to be different. The people, they love this city. A lot of them are not going anywhere, not because they can't, but they love the city. And so, messaging is everything. Togetherness is everything. I think the Sloan Museum's message may do the trick, but maybe we need to market it and let the people have a little taste of what it's about. Because when you say museum, they don't see it as evolving, current. They don't see it as current. They see it, and I think this is why it's going to be so good, because when you say museum, they think about people, that it's about people that they don't know. But to see our faces, to see people that they know, that's going to make a difference. It's going to make a big difference. I'm hopeful, and I'm hopeful that people will come together again, because the resilience is there. It's there. The respect, not just resilience, but we respect each other. And we respect each other in our respective places. And I hope that makes sense.